You want the whole story tight and raw, right? So here, ghost no fluff, just the truth, told like a friend sitting across the table, spilling it all in one breath. That slap? It hit like a thunderclap in the quiet of first class sharp, loud, impossible to ignore. Lily Morgan, just 9 years old, sitting there in her neat blue dress, blonde hair combed perfectly, felt the sting on her cheek, but didn't flinch, didn't cry. She just sat frozen, hands clasped in her lap like she was holding on to some tiny shred of hope that someone, anyone, would say something. But no one did. No apologies, no outrage, just silence. You know what I mean? That kind of silence that screams louder than words ever could. See, Lily wasn't just any kid on that flight. She was the daughter of David Morgan, the man who created the security system running the plane, something called Etherlock. Her mom, Evelyn, sat beside her, calm as a stone, no gasp, no button push, just pulled a sleek black wristband out of her purse and placed it carefully on Lily's tray like it was a family treasure. She whispered softly, "Remember what your father said." Lily stared at the watch, no lights, no buzz, just silent and dark. But beneath that silence was a storm about to break. This watch wasn't a toy. It was a guardian, a silent witness built to react not to noise, but to the absence of justice. David Morgan had given it to Lily months before, with tired eyes and a serious voice, saying, "If people forget what's right, this will remind them." She'd asked how, and he'd smiled. It doesn't do anything until someone else does something wrong. And today, in the hum of the airplane, something was about to go very, very wrong. Vivian Miles, the lead flight attendant, had slapped Lily across the face like it was nothing like Lily was just a pesky fly in her perfectly managed cabin. The man across the aisle looked away. The woman in pearls ignored it. A teenager almost pulled out a phone to record, but thought better of it and lowered it slowly. Everyone saw. No one acted. But inside that quiet black band, something flickered to Lithia code, a system waking up, scanning every passenger, every face, every silent witness. It wasn't loud or flashy, just a slow, steady pulse beneath the surface, a line of logic running through a federal server somewhere in Toronto. The verdict chain had started. At first, nothing changed. Drinks kept pouring, smiles stayed glued on, the engines hummed like nothing happened. But under the calm, a countdown began. The band measured the silence, calculated how many people had chosen to do nothing. The threshold was close, only a few more silent witnesses away from triggering something big. And then, quietly, the system escalated. Back on the plane, Evelyn passed Lily a mint, wordlessly offering comfort. The flight attendants moved about, oblivious to the invisible web tightening around them. The world outside didn't know a 9-year-old girl had just started a federal ethics lockdown, but inside the Etherlock control centers, alarms silently blinked red. Boarding at 92 airports froze. Airline check-ins stopped cold. The names Sky Tide, Monarch Air, and Eric Airlines were flagged, frozen in an instant. No public announcements, no media frenzy, just an invisible hand hitting pause. Onboard Flight 118, Vivian kept playing her role, pouring wine, telling stories, pretending none of it was happening. But her control was slipping. Her crew codes locked out. Communications dead. The cockpit door refused to open. The pilot screen flashed a warning. Cabin under active ethics monitoring. Do not inform crew. 20 years of flying, and he'd never seen anything like it. Lily's band vibrated once, just a single pulse, and Evelyn leaned close, whispering, "How does it feel?" Lily's answer came soft, heavy. Heavy, yes, but powerful. The silence was no longer just absence. It was a force. Passengers started to notice, heads turned, whispers spread. The teenager who almost filmed the slap glanced nervously around, sensing the shift. Phones weren't recording, but searching, fingers trembling. The name Morgan traveled fast through the cabin like wildfire. Her dad built Etherlock. Suddenly, the quiet wasn't ignorance. It was recognition. Vivian's screen blinked, access denied repeatedly. Her authority evaporated mid-flight. The intercom clicked on with a cold, mechanical voice, cabin monitoring in effect. Crew access suspended. No deplaning authorized until compliance review is complete. No pilot, no flight attendant, just the relentless voice of the system. The plane descended silently toward Montreal. No applause, no relief. Just judgment. The door opened not to a jet bridge, but to federal ethics officers calm, collected, already knowing their purpose. Vivian stood frozen, accused, suspended, her world unraveling as the system she ignored had turned on her. News exploded across networks. The girl who stayed quiet after a slap had shut down an entire airline network, frozen billions in contracts, and forced a crisis at Eric Airlines headquarters. The CEO resigned, stocks tanked, and federal investigations multiplied. The world was forced to listen. Back in a quiet lounge, Lily sat with her mom, sipping juice, the watch silent once more, resting like a sleeping giant. A young FAA agent asked if they wanted to speak publicly. Evelyn shook her head. Let the protocol speak. Lily asked, will other kids be safe now? The agent nodded, a lot safer. Weeks later, the Monet Protocol, the system David Morgan designed, became the new standard for airline ethics compliance. CEOs signed on, some reluctantly, all recognizing silence no longer protected them. At school, Lily walked through hallways no longer invisible, a quiet hero misunderstood by classmates, but carrying a heavy truth inside. Her teacher asked if she was okay. Lily just said, sometimes being quiet is strong. And maybe it is. Meanwhile, back at Eric Airlines, the old ways crumbled. The CEO's letter said it best. Let this be the last time we measure a passenger's worth by the seat they occupy. That watch. Evelyn placed it in a glass case with a simple brass tag. Not broken, just waiting. A reminder that sometimes the system doesn't need to shout it waits, patient, watching. So here's the real question for you. Have you ever seen something wrong and stayed silent? Or maybe you were the only one who spoke up when no one else did. What's stronger, the power you see, or the power that moves quietly beneath the surface? Tell me your story. Tell us where you're watching from. Because sometimes the system only listens when we start to speak.